at the moment, if necessary.
No, I reclaimed it. Oh.
Okay. Okay, you're being live streamed.
So, see, you're on.
Am I recording?
So what are we doing? Record.
I want to know if
Cloud.
we're recording to the
It's on
cloud.
the cloud, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Already, also.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
So, can you double check with them?
Is
okay?
everybody fine now?
Denise, I cannot record when this recording is in progress.
No, don't record. Don't record. It's recording on your live stream, and I will send you this recording right away.
But I would like to try to record it locally in order.
But I have to have it, and you record the Bosnian language. You're already live streamed. I'll send you the copy of the recording right away.
Okay. Open the room.
Okay, you can open the room whenever we have to open the room, I think.
Let me double check. Do they have? Should I
open everything?
We need to make somebody co-host.
They're already co-host. Samra should be technical as co-host.
Also go.
Okay.
So they have.
So they can record?
Right. No, recording is already on.
Okay. And open up the
we can do,
room?
They can do also if they're okay.
We can open it
okay.
up. Yeah.
Are they ready?
Ready to start?
Yes.
Also.
Thanks.
Šanti, dobro veče i veliki pozdrav Sister Denise. Evo, prije nego što počnemo, da vas posjetim da imate mogućnost prijevoda. Vidjet ćete na dnu vašeg ekrana malu ikonicu koja je globus i na njoj piše interpretation. i možete kliknuti na globus i odabrati Dutch jezik, jer nije bilo mogućnosti odabrati bosanski na tvoj listi. Dakle, da se ne bismo zbunili, piše Dutch, ali će prijevod biti na našem jeziku. Evo sad da počnemo. Par riječi o Brahma Kumaris duhovnom sveučilištu. Brahma Kumaris svjetsko duhovno sveučilište je međunarodna organizacija koja promovira pozitivne promjene u svim nivoima društva. Sveučilište je osnovano 1937. godine i sada provodi širok raspon obrazovnih programa za razvoj ljudskih i duhovnih vrijednosti u 8.000 centara u preko 110 zemalja. Sveučilište je nevladina organizacija i ima konsultativni status pri Ekonomskom i socijalnom vijeću Ujedinjenih naroda. Sveučilište je dobitnik 7 nagrada Ujedinjenih naroda za glasnik mira, Peace Messenger, a lokalno centri pružaju tečajeve i predavanja o meditaciji i pozitivnim vrijednostima, omogućavajući pojedincima da prepoznaju svoj pravi potencijal i kreiraju život na najbolji mogući način. Sveučilište nudi sve svoje programe i tečajeve besplatno. Sad bi par riječi o Sister Denise, našoj gošći, Denise Lawrence. Denise Lawrence, spisateljica, urednik na radiju i televiziji, je učitelj Raja Yoga, meditacije i duhovnog znanja posljednjih 48 godina. Denisina karijera je započela ranih 70. godina u novinarstvu, a potom je radila kao urednik vijesti na BBC-u i kanadskoj radioteleviziji. Od 1974. započela je studirati na duhovnom sveučilištu u Londonu, pri Brahma Kumaris svjetskom duhovnom sveučilištu u Londonu. I od tada se potpuno posvetila podučavanju i prakticiranju Raja joge, meditacije, kao i proučavanju duhovnog znanja koji proističe iz Bhagavad Gite. Denise se godinama bavila dubokim proučavanjem mitologije i svetih spisa Indije, kao i drugih kultura i tradicija od bronzanog doba do današnjeg vremena, sa posebnom pažnjom na njihovu relevantnost u modernoj psihologiji i problematici unakrsnih kultura. Nju posebno zanima područje ljudskih prava, ne samo sa društvenog i političkog aspekta, nego više sa aspekta osnaživanja pojedinaca da razumiju i ostvare svoja prava u svim sektorima života. To zanimanje uključuje manjine i autohtone skupine koje žive u kulturama koje se odnose neprijateljski i nemaju poštivanje prema kulturnim i vrijednostima drevnog znanja i mudrosti. Denise je također fokusira na sva prava žena, kao što smo napomenuli, nego iz perspektive samo osnaživanja, samo prepoznavanja i vraćanja izgubljenog osjećaja vrijednosti iznutra. Denise je živjela u raznim zemljama, Europe, Sjeverne Amerike, Indije i putovala je širom svijeta držeći predavanja i seminare o pitanjima ljudskog prava posmatranih sa duhovnog aspekta. Njezin roman Skiyamahi je obavljen u Indiji 2016. godine, a potom preveden na njemački 2020. Skiyamahi je grčka riječ koja znači borba protiv sopstvene sjene. Roman govori o želji za moć, a moć je otrovna u rukama onih slabog karaktera, a pravo blago koristi u rukama čistih. Sister Denise je također veoma drag gost mnogih programa, preko 100 programa, i autorica je 10 svezaka postdiplomske diplome o obrazovanju u vrijednostima i duhovnosti koje se trenutno predaju na nekoliko sveučilišta u Indiji i Maleziji. Tema današnjeg predavanja je uživati u svom unutarnjem svijetu. Sister Denise, over to you.
Good morning from my side, good evening your side, and it's wonderful to be with you all. And I will speak slightly slowly so that translation is not a problem for anyone. So today we're looking at enjoying your inner life. And this expression, enjoyment, is quite an important one, because in which dimension, in which place or space do you enjoy anything? And from the spiritual angle of things, it would have to be said that all experiences, including enjoyment, take place in your mind, and that is anyway your inner world. But I want to talk today about these two very separate worlds, really, the inner world and the outer world, but they operate together. So in order to get clarity about these two dimensions or these two worlds, we need to separate them and then let them flow together, which is what they normally do. Now, human consciousness experiences the material world via sense perception. That means what you see, what you hear, what you taste and smell, and everything that you experience that's going on in the external world, you're actually experiencing it in your mind, but you don't think about it like that. Normally you think, I am experiencing such and such, and you don't really make any difference between your inner self and the outer world. And when we study and practice spirituality, we start discovering that you experience the outer world in the inner world, and you experience the inner world in the inner world as well. But still, there's quite a difference. So let's start with sense perception. And sense perception, the most important sense perceptions are seeing and hearing. And we nowadays, because of the COVID restrictions, so many people are operating using technology, communications technology, where we can't touch each other, we can't smell each other or taste each other. We can just see and hear an image of each other, which is actually quite interesting, because it helps us to realize that the person who is experiencing the other person is actually not what you see or what you hear, but the inner being who communicates through the face, through the mouth, facial expressions. You say something, you smile, you frown. Your different moods are visible on your face, and communication includes a lot of body language as well. But all of this is registered in the mind, and from the mind it's experienced in the soul. So the mind is an interface between sense perception and the soul, and the mind is actually an instrument of the soul. So we are looking at deconstructing this system of consciousness, which makes it possible for us to experience and for us to understand what is this thing called experience. And then added to that, we have inner experience as well as outer experience. Now, let me ask you a question, and that is, what is thought? Everybody thinks, everybody has a mind. We talk about thought, we say, I think this, then we say, I feel that. So thinking and feeling are both happening in the mind. But usually we don't really think about these things. We just feel, or we just think. Now, why would we learn about these things? And the main reason why we would learn about these things is so that we can exercise our options, because we do have options about the impact on us of what's going on in the external world and even in the internal world. So the main thing to bear in mind is that thought and the mind is the important interface between you, the spiritual being, and everything that's going on in your mental world and the physical world. One of the things I'm very aware of at the moment is the very unstable state of the world, the economic state, the political state. And I believe that in Bosnia at the moment there are quite a lot of tensions, and people may be feeling very concerned that what is going to happen. So let's just look at this feeling, because probably many of you will be having this feeling that what is going to happen, and will I be okay? Will my friends and relatives be okay? And when there is this feeling of uncertainty, it's quite destabilizing, and it creates other feelings, a little bit of fear, a little bit of worry, a little bit of tension and stress. And when this is going on, we feel pressure. And pressure on the mind, pressure on the soul needs to be managed. And this is another reason why we are looking at these things and studying these things, because there is a certain kind of power that helps us to manage these feelings. And if we don't have that power, or if we don't have enough of that power, then it can become very strong and maybe unmanageable experience on the inside. So that power, we call it spiritual power. And so when a being, a person, a soul, a spiritual being has lots of spiritual power, then everything is manageable. But mostly at this time, people do say that the kinds of stresses and tensions that most people are having to go through are too much. And there is this feeling, I need more power to handle this. And so we need to know, what is this power and where do you get it from? Because we all have a right to this type of power. But before we can get it, we have to understand ourselves, and we have to understand that kind of power, and then it gets clear. And when everything is clear, then you know what to do and you do it. But when it's unclear and there's confusion, then that adds to the stress. So we don't want to have that situation. So the self, the soul, is made of energy. And that energy is a combination of inner power, purity, love, peace, and happiness. And this is the energy of consciousness. And this loving, peaceful, powerful being of light is a self in a human body, expressing yourself through your face, through your body, and this is called life, the actual life that animates the human body, and that is actually you. And you feel happiness or unhappiness, you feel peace or distress, you feel love, or you may feel neglected or abandoned. So there are these pairs of opposites in terms of our feeling, positive ones and negative ones. And we all feel these things. Obviously we prefer the positive ones, but there are negative ones, and sometimes we don't know quite what to do with the negative ones. When the positive ones are going on, we feel relaxed and comfortable, and then the negative ones come along, it creates stress, and we don't really know what to do with it. So one thing that's very important to know is that just as we nurture our bodies with food and exercise and various enjoyments that we have in the external world that make us feel good, we also need to do the same for our inner selves. And this is where this practice and study of spiritual things becomes quite of interest to us. How do I make myself easy when I feel uneasy? What do I have to do? Because it happens, right? You feel uneasy and then it takes over. So what to do when you feel uneasy? So this practice, we need to do this practice when everything is just normal. Because when things are normal, it's much easier to practice. And then when things are not normal, when you feel really uneasy and stressed, then you apply the inner power that you accumulate with your practice to that situation, and then it becomes manageable, whereas previously it may not be manageable. So what is the practice? So first aspect of the practice is that our attention needs to be focused within. Most people, most of the time, the attention is external. You live on the surface of your body and beyond. Whatever happens to you fully, and there's nothing you can do about it because you're living on the surface of your body. So the practice is slowly to think about going on the inside. So going on the inside means imagine that you are like a star, and on the inside of your head, say about 10 centimeters behind your eyes. Just as when you're looking through a camera, there's a difference between you and the camera. In the same way, turn your attention inside. Imagine yourself to be right inside your head, and there's a distance between yourself and your eyes. And through your eyes you see what you're focused on, and you also see the peripheral visual field. So one of the things that's going on is your attention is focused on what you're looking at, and at the same time you can see a wider field than what your attention is focused on. So you see, in a way, two things. And while you're seeing something, you're also hearing the sounds that are connected with that scene. And you hear through your ears. And so make yourself very conscious that there is a distance between me, my eyes, and what I see. There's a distance between me, my ears, and what I hear. Why do we practice like this? Is that it gives you the option to decide whether it on the outside. And this is really very helpful, because sometimes there are things going on which really pull your attention, and they pull you away from contact with yourself. When you have contact with yourself, you're in your power. When you lose contact with yourself, you're pulled away by a very strong distraction. That takes over you, and you are under its influence. So we don't want to have that situation. We want to be myself. I'm in charge of what happens to me, right? That's much nicer. So we have to practice. And right now I'm assuming that you're in your home and you're watching your screen and you're hearing what I'm saying, and while I'm saying it, you can also practice this. You can see in your understanding, you know that you are somewhere in this world, and the location of this person here who's talking to you is in California. And so there's a big time difference and there's a big space difference, but because of the technology, you can see me and you can hear me, but you know that you're just seeing an image, and you can turn it off anytime you want, just by a switch of a button. Now, when we have full command of our internal life and our internal equipment, the equipment of consciousness, it is possible for us to turn off anything that's going on the outside of us, or to create a distance between ourselves and it, so that it doesn't have that all-consuming impact. And we call this practicing to be a detached observer. So a detached observer is pretty much what you're doing right now with your screen. I'm over here in California and you're wherever you are, and you're watching me talking to you, and you know in your understanding that you can switch it off anytime you want. And you also know that me talking to you on your screen is one dimension, and then around the outside of your screen is wherever you're sitting. So that's a completely different scene. So you have two scenes going on at the same time, and you're mentally processing these two scenes, and you can have two scenes going on just fine. Now, the inner world, as I mentioned earlier, the soul is made of the energies of purity, peace, inner power, love, and happiness, bliss. So that is also a dimension, but it's not something that you can see. It's not something you can hear. And you can't always feel it, like physically feel it, but you can sense it, because we have another sense. Sometimes people call it the sixth sense. And you can sense the quality of your being with this sixth sense. And part of what we're doing here is increasing the capacity of our sixth sense so that we can feel ourselves more strongly. And what happens when you do that is what you're experiencing from the external world, what you're seeing and hearing, is one level. But what's going on your inner world is something else. So you have two dimensions happening at the same time. And you can actually choose which one you want to give attention to. So sometimes it may happen there is something going on around you physically that is distressing. And you're seeing it, you're hearing it, it's on the outside of you. And it wants to pull you into itself. So that's the situation. At the same time, by your choice, you can choose to focus your attention on the inner world. And by doing that, you create a distance between yourself and that external experience. So when you're in your inner world, you're amplifying the experience that I am pure, peaceful, powerful, loving, blissful, and that's in the inner dimension. And what's happening on the outside of me is not that different from a three-dimensional TV show or film. So you're practicing to be the spectator of what's going on the outside. And on the outside is all sorts of things, good, bad, interesting, boring, every kind of scene is going on. And the nature of these things is a situation arises, it persists for some time, not forever, some time, and then it fades away, and then another thing comes along. So this is a very important thing to know, that whatever comes up, however strongly it wants to pull you into itself, always remember this: it will pass. It's not permanent. Everything that happens is for some time. It can be for a minute, or a second, or a day, or a year, or 10 years, or 100 years, or 1,000 years. But it will pass, you see. And knowing that it will pass gives you a particular kind of power over it. And that power is that you will manage it for as long as it's there. You don't know how long it'll be there, but you do know that it will finish, and that gives you a little extra power, just to know that this is not permanent, this is temporary. When it's a really difficult situation, it may require extra power. For example, I have a very good friend who has a lot of illnesses all at the same time, and many parts of the body are giving trouble, and it's been going on for a long time. So the first main quality that this friend of mine is using, this is also a meditator, a yogi, and the main quality is patience, knowing that this will pass. And the other quality that this person is using is an awareness that I am with the Supreme Being, the higher power, the source of inner power. Because what do you need to manage maybe long, lasting, uncomfortable, distressing, or painful situations? You need power. Now, when you are turned within, your attention is on the inner dimension. So the inner dimension is special. The inner dimension is also called the spiritual dimension. And when you're in that inner dimension, you have easy access to the Supreme Being. Easy access, because the Supreme Being or God is in that dimension and not in the physical world, you see. And we are spiritual beings operating through our bodies in the material world. So we are operating internally and externally. But the Supreme Being is to be found in the inner dimension. And you can't make contact if you're externally oriented. So this is why the practice, turn within, get into that dimension, feel with your sixth sense that it is the case that I am a pure, peaceful, powerful, loving being of light. That's what I am. And I communicate with other beings through my body, through their body, in the material world. This is our place of interaction. But who feels? And where do you feel? Who feels is the spiritual being, which we call the soul. And where do you feel in the mind? There's something maybe going on in your body, pain in the body or some feeling in the body is connected with your brain through the nervous system, and your soul itself connects. There's an interface of spiritual energy between the brain and the soul, and you will experience that physical thing in your mind. Isn't that extraordinary? Mostly you're doing that all day long, but you don't realize what's exactly happening. And so when you practice this, you can really sense it, that I, the soul, the being of light, am experiencing the material world through my body. And you have a real sense of the inner dimension and the outer dimension when you practice like this. And everything you do, it is the soul doing it through the body. So you can imagine, okay, you want to do something simple. Like you want to eat an apple. That's a simple thing. So you can imagine in your mind there's an apple, and you put it on a plate, it's washed, and you cut it, and you may peel it or not, and you put it in your mouth, and you chew it and swallow it, and you enjoy the taste of the apple. And all of this is the soul doing these actions and enjoying the taste in the mind. And why are we analyzing it like this? Really to practice, so that if there is something going on externally and you want to protect yourself from it, turn within and really strongly connect yourself with that higher being, that higher light, which is in that same dimension as you are. So what is this light? Who is this being? What is this power? Some people, they believe there is something, but a lot of people never really know. And the reason is because people all ordinarily live in the external material dimension, and so you are you're kind of blocked from feeling this when you're in the external world. And so the whole point of studying and practicing spirituality is to get skilled in getting access to the inner world so you can feel your own self, the spiritual being that you are, feel your essence and know your beauty, and really come into your power. And also you're on the same dimension as that spiritual source and force and ocean of all the qualities that you need in order to manage what's going on in the external world and how it is impacting you in your inner world, you see. Because when you have perception, the first thing is perception. So you want to perceive. When you turn within, you're able to just sense that, yeah, I am a being and I have a body. I am a being, this is my body. There's two things here. And you're in the inner world, and there is the outer world, and you can operate in both just very easily. But practice going to the world within and really create this distance between yourself and your sense organs and the world outside, because then you created a boundary, and then you decide on which side of the boundary you want to be at any moment. Now if you want to be with the source, then you need to be on the inside of the boundary. And when you're on the inside and you bring yourself into contact with that source, it is through thought. You put out a thought, let me connect with the supreme ocean of peace. So your thought, your mind goes in that direction. And you are invoking. Whenever you direct your mind towards that source, you're going to get a response. And you're going to feel something. You see, because that being of light is reciprocal. So anytime you send your mind in that direction, you'll get a feedback, you'll get a response. But only if you're really nicely stable and focused in your inner world. And then when you receive your response, it's like a wave of energy that comes and increases your spiritual strength, increases your levels of love and peace and bliss and so on. And this is necessary because the soul itself is quite depleted. How did the soul get depleted? Just life, you know, just living, doing whatever is happening. Energy is getting used. But if you use up all your energy, then you're going to get depleted. And this is what's happened because people are not replenishing themselves. So this is a method to replenish yourself so that you have enough energy to manage what's going on and maybe accumulate a bit more so that your overall personal inner power is increasing. And then when you understand this well and you start practicing regularly, then you're constantly making sure that there is an intake of spiritual energy so that you don't get depleted, and overall your amount of inner energy is slowly increasing. So I'm going to stop there, and it's possible that you may have some questions about this because it's quite subtle, and it's quite interesting to discuss about it. And then afterwards we can do some meditation together. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I will be patient and wait for people to ask questions either live or you can write it, možemo napisati u chat box.
And Palma, you may have something that you would like us to talk about for a moment while people put their questions on.
Yes, I have one thing that is really beautiful, how we can practice being in this inner world. What is the practice that you use, Sister Denise, to stay in this inner world, to be able to connect with the Supreme Source?
I think everybody can see that behind me there is a red picture with a white center, and there is radiance, lines radiating. So this is a representation of a soul, and it's also a representation of the Supreme Soul. And meditation is also concentration, you see. And it's a two-step process. We want to concentrate first of all within. So where is the soul? Where am I in this body? Where are you? Some people, they say, oh, I'm in my heart, right? A few people say, oh, no, I'm in my gut. I have a gut feeling, I'm in my gut. But according to the method and practice of Raj Yoga and the study that we do, the soul is in the center of the forehead. So when we're turning within, you're focusing your attention right around the middle of the forehead. And when you focus your attention there, which is where your soul is, sometimes you can get a little bit of a feeling that there's something going on there on the inside of my forehead or on the surface of my forehead. Many people just feel this, but the soul is invisible, it's intangible, but it functions through the body from the head. And this is your, like you can say, your seat, your control position, and you control your body from there. So to meditate, first you have to go within and connect with yourself. So the energy of your mind is looping back on itself rather than just getting dissipated into the material world. So bring your attention back on yourself. Then you're on the same level as the Supreme Soul, and then you put out a thought that you want to connect, and you turn your attention to that being. But it's not something that you can see, but it's something that you understand. So what we're doing in this practice is developing our understanding of invisible, intangible, real things, real beings. And it's quite subtle, but that's what's going on. This is how you do it. And you create a stream of thought and we'll be doing that in the meditation. Or if you feel, we could do a meditation now and actually try this out. Would you like that? Okay, so everyone should sit balanced, comfortable, and use your mind to consider that in the center of your forehead there is a light, which is the soul, the being. And that is me. I am the light. I have a body, but I am the light. And as you say this to yourself, it very often creates an impression of light, and you feel, yes, I really am the light. You feel as if you have shifted into a dimension of light. The material world is there, but you can also feel another dimension which is very bright and light. And you focus further in, considering yourself a tiny point of light. As if you are shifting to another dimension. Where you're not perceiving physically, but you're sensing. I'm in a silent world, which is filled with vibrations of love and purity. Forget the external world, because you're not really there. You're in the inner world, and you say to yourself, I want to go to that Supreme Being, the being of light. You focus your attention beyond, just like in the picture it shows that light surrounded by a red field and a lot of radiance. It's actually like that. Focus with the sense of connecting. When you connect, you feel energy passing into you. Maybe just for a second or two, but it's enough to realize that, yeah, it happened, I made contact. And then let yourself come back to regular material dimension, so that you can feel there really are two dimensions, and that you can go depending on what you want. You can go within, or you can be external. Either way, it's like a switch. You switch inside, switch in, or switch out, and the switch is in your hands. Does that give you a bit of an idea?
Definitely.
So you also have been practicing to do this. Have you experienced any kind of, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not so easy. Have you experienced that?
I did. With the your guided commentary, I experienced going beyond. And I experienced that I have a choice. That was very important, that I have the choice to be in my inner world whenever I want to. So this is very beautiful delivery. Thank you for your words of wisdom, insights, and taking the time to share your knowledge and your wonderful understanding of human psyche. For me, it is really very deep and really revealing. I want to ask you, Sister Denise, where people can find your books, your other lectures, because there are many of those who speak English or who can join you directly. And we would like to ask you that question, where we can find you and how to get in touch with your other programs that you offer.
Okay, there is a website which is called rajayoga.tv, and there's quite a lot on there. Lately, I've been putting everything on my YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel, you just go to YouTube and then you type in Denise Lawrence, and there are two Denise Lawrences. One is a pop star, which is different, that's not me, and then the other one is me. And so if you type in YouTube the channel Denise Lawrence, then you'll find there's about 700 videos on there. And nowadays most of what I do is video, and it's all uploaded there. And so those are the two best places. I do write some things, but you see, video is so transportable. You're just one click away. And you mentioned in the introduction about my book Sayamaki, and I did actually start doing, I've done maybe about 20 or so chapters from it as an audio video book, and you'll find that on the YouTube, because getting the books physically to come to you is more complicated. But I just find more and more that I just like using the internet because it's so easy to manage. And going on to the YouTube channel, if you look at something, it'll send you off afterwards somewhere else. But if you go on the playlist, which shows the different series of what I've done, then you can sort of stay with that list, and then it's easier to get back to it. Because the nature of YouTube is it scatters you all over the universe, but so we have to get around that. But the Raja Yoga TV website is under process of getting updated, and so that'll be easier to work with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have written that down, and I believe this is recorded, and everyone will have the access. And otherwise, is the book available on Amazon, the Sayamaki?
It's available in German translation, and so you can get that if you speak German. But the English one, I wanted to do some more work on it, so I didn't upload it onto internet, but the hard copies are actually kept in India because that's where I printed them. And this is why I think the better access is on the YouTube. But if you speak German and you can get the German translation, it was very, very well translated and published. Yeah. You just look at Sayamaki, and it's published on Books on Demand, bod.de, I think it is. And I think it shows up if you just write it. What I'll do for you, I don't have it right with me, but I will send you the link, and then you can get that, because there may be people who are online with us today who know German.
Yes, yes, I know some that they know German.
Yeah,
That's great. I think that if there is any question, we can accommodate anyone who would like to ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is no any question, we could end this beautiful lecture and sharing, I would say sharing. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
It was amazing and very powerful. And now, Sister Denise, if you would like to continue with your work and other commitments, I will make announcement for the programs that are in front of us. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, and još jednom Om Shanti, dobro večer. 2 sljedeća vikenda imamo osnovni i napredni kurs meditacije. Znači, subota 22.1. i nedelja 23.1. od 10 do 13:30. Imamo napredni kurs sa dr. Dušicom Novaković, a u subotu 29.1. i nedelju 30.1. od 10 do 13:30. Naše sljedeće predavanje je 14. februara i gošća će nam biti Avatih Šaraf, a tema predavanja je putevi iseljivanja. Znači, možete te podatke naći na našoj stranici. 14. februara je program u isto ovo vrijeme. Ja sam na početku pomenula da svi programi duhovnog sveučilišta Brahma Kumaris su besplatni, da bi mogli nastaviti taj rad i da bi mogli imati sve ovo što nam omogućuju ti programi, da bi se mogli osnažiti, da bi mogli raditi na sebi i ići napred. Sve donacije su veoma dobrodošle i možete naći na ovom ekranu naše podatke, broj računa i uplatiti na koji možete način, bilo i transfer ili na drugi način. Bilo koje donacije su veoma važne za naš opstanak i za naš budući mogućnost da i u budućnosti ponudimo sve ove sadržaje koje nas oplemenjuju, koje nas osnažuju i koje nam omogućuju da savladamo sve ono što nas u životu predstavlja veliki izazov, sve ono što bi nam omogućilo da budemo najbolji i ljudska bića i duše. Prema tome, ako možete, svakako vaša podrška, mi bismo bili zahvalni za vašu podršku. Eto, pozdravljam vas. Om Shanti. Pozdravi mira, pozdravi ljubavi. Hvala vam što ste bili s nama i eto, radujemo se što ćemo vas ponovo vidjeti u 14.2. i ćemo se ponovo družiti. Puno hvala.